Thanks for staying us on the conversation. Earlier on, we dealt with the Africa Adaptation Summit, where African leaders blew hot on the fact that most European leaders were not present at the Africa Adaptation Summit, only the Dutch Prime Minister. And right now, we switch to situations in Zambia, where the president, Hichilema, has denied any influence in the arrest of his critics. In a comment by his spokesperson, Anthony Bwalia, he revealed that the president is against laws that impinge on the freedoms enjoyed by citizens. This comment follows the arrest of opposition politician Tembo for allegedly defaming the head of state last Thursday, and he remains in police custody.
Now, a video of Tembo being taken to hospital on Monday for a brief visit before being returned to police custody was seen shared online. Mr. Tembo, an ardent critic of President Hichilema, was reportedly arrested last week after a Facebook post criticizing a fuel price hike was widely criticized as vulgar and sexist.
And now join us live for this conversation. We have Neto Halwabala. He is a provincial spokesperson, Southern Province, Livingstone, Zambia, and Peter Sinkamba, President, Green Party Zambia, Kitwe, Zambia. Thank you so much for joining us on the conversation.
Thank you very much for having us on the program today.
All right, so I'll start with Neto. I will begin with the Facebook post that has caused quite a lot of trouble, so to say. Now, it said, Bali's monthly administration is here again, fuel prices to be reviewed tomorrow. This was the comment from Tembo. Now, who exactly is Tembo in the political terrain, and what does the statement connotate? Can you hear me?
Can you unmute your device, please, Neto?
Neto, if you can hear me, kindly unmute, please.
Oh, why would?
All right.
Okay, great.
Okay, so let's hear from Peter then. Peter,
Yes.
What do you make of that statement?
Well, for us, really, we didn't find anything offensive in the statement. Typically, we have a situation where fuel price is reviewed monthly, and the specific day set for reviewing the price of fuel. And for him to say there will be an adjustment on the fuel price the following day, I don't think that was offensive in any way. So really, we think that that was abuse of the power by the police, and keeping him in custody for a very long time, as it were, does not really comply with our constitution and comply with the laws pertaining to custody of anyone who has been arrested. Because you see, according to our laws, anyone who has been arrested must be charged with an offense within 24 hours and must be presented to court within 48 hours. Now, in this particular case, you have a situation where someone is arrested and is not even told what offense he has committed, and is put in custody. And he is in custody longer than 24 hours. And then it went on until he was taken to the hospital, like you said, on Monday, and was only released yesterday. That's when they were telling the nation, that he has been arrested for an offense concerning cybercrime, hate speech. So the story changed from defamation of the president, which was not mentioned to him at all. People were just speculating because the last post he made concerned the fuel. So people thought that particular post was the one which caused government.
I mean, but he did. Sorry to butt in there, Mr. Sinkamba. He did mention the president's widely accepted nickname. He called him Bali, and a leading women's NGO in Zambia has come out to condemn what he said was monthly menstruation period. They considered it vulgar and sexist, and asked Mr. Tembo to withdraw his statement. Don't you think, as a leading political figure, he shouldn't be using such a language and he should withdraw? I mean, you could talk about the increasing fuel prices without bringing women's menstruations into some of these matters.
Well, we personally, I personally do not support his language, the use of certain words, like menstruation. I don't support that. But you see, the main issue is not about the word which he used that particular time concerning fuel. What we are being told now by the police, when they formally charged him yesterday, they said he used the hate speech, which is contrary to the Cybersecurity and the Cybercrime Act of 2021. And the specific words which he used, which amount to hate speech, have not been published. We don't know, because really to say menstruation of whatever, that's not hate speech, because hate speech, according to our law, has to do with the issues to do with either being tribal or being racist. You understand? Yeah. That kind of language is what is into hate speech. Now, to talk about menstruation, and you want to put it as hate speech, how is it related to racism or tribalism or segregation? You know, it doesn't add up. Okay, to use the current law, which they are saying they want to use as cybercrime. So maybe it's another statement altogether, not what we are speculating, because we are speculating now on that fuel statement. Okay. Maybe it's not a statement maybe it's not a statement, because it's not adding up to hate speech, that particular statement.
All right, Peter, we get your view. Let's hear from Neto. Neto is back with us now. Neto, you've been hearing what has been going on right now from Tembo's statement on Facebook and the arrest and all that. And then Anthony Bwala, the president's spokesperson, said Tembo's arrest had nothing to do with the president. Now, Peter highlighted some things now. He said that the police talked about the hate speech and all that. So can you tell us what exactly was the statement given by the police on why Tembo was arrested, or even if they gave credible reasons for the arrest of Tembo?
Well, to start with, I think let me put the record straight first. Otherwise, the issue of him being detained more than the constitutional period someone has to be detained should be explained. According to the police spokesperson, made it very clear that Tembo was arrested on Friday, and the same Friday he was arrested, he was supposed to be charged. But unfortunately, himself, he requested the police that they should charge him in the presence of his legal team. Unfortunately, the legal team on Friday were not available. And you and me, we know that usually weekends, they are weekends. So they had to wait until Monday. And Monday, when he was supposed to be charged, his legal team said he needed to be attended medically because, according to him, he was not feeling okay. That's how he was sent to police, to the hospital. And after being attended, he was taken back now to formally be charged. Unfortunately, at the time he was taken back to police, his legal team again was not there. That's how they couldn't charge him until the following day. So that is the issue. It has nothing to do with the instruction from the executive, as the perception has been created. So it was as a result of either his lawyer or himself, who was not willing to be charged immediately, because us as a party in government, we won based on the commitment we made that no one should be detained more than 48 hours in police.
But why exactly was he arrested? Why was he arrested, Neto?
Yes, I wanted to give a background. Now, coming to the issue of him being arrested, I just want to agree with the president for Green Party. What he said is exactly. Every Zambian was expecting that the charge is what he posted on his Facebook page. But when the police finally charged him, they brought in the issue of hate speech. Now, hate speech, I know Tembo in the past has been issuing a lot of alarming statements, not only alarming statements, but hate speech. Because in Zambia, I'm sure you know our constitution, there's a clause now that is, it is an offense for hate speech. So that is the charge which they have said. So the issue of dragging the president into these issues, I think it has to be put very clear that we understand the perception which is there because we are coming from the background where the institutions were hijacked by the executive. And this is the thing that has remained in people's minds. As a result, any arrest that is being made, it is attributed to the president, which is not the position. I think now we are trying to make sure that everyone who is within the confines of the law is not persecuted. I'll give you an example of Comrade Peter Sinkamba. He's been an opposition for so many years. And I tell you, not even a single day when he was arrested for insulting. Why? Is because he's a very, very objective opposition who is criticizing the government on issues that will benefit the people of Zambia. We need to move away from character assassination, but issue-based politics. And that's why him and other politicians in the opposition have not been visited by the police. So that is the issue. The president is far away from these issues. All these people who are...
Okay, I'd like to bring in Peter. Peter, Section 69 of Zambia's Penal Code provides any person who, with intent to bring the president into hatred, ridicule or contempt, publishes any defamatory or insulting matter, whether by writing, print, word of mouth, or in any other manner, is guilty of an offence that is liable conviction to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 3 years. Now, Zambia prides itself as a democracy, and that freedom is also very important in the values of the Republic of Zambia. Do you think it's time Section 69 of the Constitution is expunged? And how do you also draw the fine balance between freedom of speech and being responsible opposition?
Well, you are right. Section 69, actually, it was deliberated on by the Supreme Court, I think, in a number of cases, including one for Freddie Membe, where the court made it clear that where there is a legitimate criticism of government, that is not does not amount to defamation of the president. Now the issue is what is legitimate. So it becomes now an issue of interpretation, and that's why it is very, very important. If the police would want to arrest anyone on a matter to do with defamation of the president, it's important they come out clear with a statement on why they are arresting him, not to leave it to speculation. Because like we have heard from my brother, what is indicating there, the whole nation up to this point in time is speculating. We don't know which particular statement Tembo made, which amounts to defamation of character, or which he made, which amounts to hate speech. Because the police have not disclosed the particulars of that particular offense. So really, such offenses then, such sections must be expunged from the penal code, because they can be abused as this particular one. Why we are saying it's abused? Here's a situation where you arrest someone, you detain him, and you don't give the particulars of the offense, because even if the issue was to do with the lawyers not being present on Friday, at least they would have disclosed to him why they had arrested him, the particulars of the offense, so that the person knows. But you cannot say we have arrested, we have detained you, we want to charge you. And then you say, where are your lawyers? Or if the person says, you cannot charge me without my lawyers. But at least you must explain to the person why he has been arrested and we are detaining you for this particular case. But up to this point in time, this is 1 week gone. The police have not given us the particulars. So such laws are subject to abuse. And whilst I may agree with my brother that the president does not directly engage into the arrest. But you see, the president is the head of the state and he is the commander-in-chief of the defense forces, including the police. So if the Inspector General of Police is conducting himself in a manner which is going to embarrass the president, he must be able to intervene and say, stop that.
Yeah, but you don't expect the president to intervene in every domestic issue that concerns the police. He has more important issues to attend to.
And just to add to that, I want you to clarify it and lay the cards on the table. You're a member of the opposition party. We talk about speculations. Let's end the speculations there. Have these laws been abused by the president? You're a member of the Green Party. Have you had any dissent from the governing party whatsoever for journalists and even for the opposition parties?
Well, for us, our view is that we need to expand this. It shouldn't be there in the laws because we have seen it being abused. I have a number of friends who've been arrested before in the previous government, not this particular one, where they were made to be subjected to go and undergo even trial, but they were acquitted after having spent a long time in prison, or in custody of the police. They just did it specifically to try and humiliate an individual. So really, we don't need this kind of law because you see, it gives the police more powers to do all those things. Any small excuse, they keep you in custody for as long as they want, which is not right.
Now, Neto, just before we begin to wrap things up, how would you describe the judiciary in Zambia? Do you think Zambia is a country that respects freedom of speech and human rights? And should this Section 69 that allows the police to arrest people for insulting the president be expunged from the Zambian constitution? Do you think politicians in Zambia are responsible enough to self-censor?
Well, I want to agree with my colleague's submission that I think our laws needs to be reviewed because some of the laws are not in tandem with the democracy. But I also want to mention that the problem that we have is that we have some politicians who think that insulting is the way of gaining political mileage. So we need to also, because we need to understand that these laws were brought in to regulate our conduct as people so that we don't injure some people's fundamental human rights. So I agree that we need to amend and see how we can do, and the government is in the process. I think the Minister of Justice on many occasions has made it very clear that we are amending. But I also want to agree that most of the politicians in Zambia, they have not reached at that level of self-regulation in terms of their conduct. There are very few politicians. I cited that example of the Honorable who is here. He's been conducting his politics in a civilized manner. That's why he has never been in conflict with the law. But we need now to look at how do we regulate ourselves so that we don't always complain when the law visits us. So yes, we need to relook and amend the laws because most of these laws, I think we inherited. We inherited from our colonial master who handed over to us. So all what we have been doing as a country is to make some minor amendments. That's why the constitution in itself, it's very quarrelsome. It is arguing to itself. So we need.
All right, thank you so much, Neto. He was explaining why he was also agreeing with the fact that this section 69 of the Constitution of Zambia needs to be expunged, talking about freedom of rights and expression of people who are opposing the president. Thank you also, Peter Sinkamba, for joining us on the conversation. President, Green Party, Zambia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And this is where we wrap today's conversation on News Central Television. The first half of the show, we did talk about African leaders being furious at Western leaders who make up the majority of the world polluters for being absent at the Climate Adaptation Summit in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. And we just concluded our conversation on the Zambia.
I'm Rita Omodia. Do join us again on Friday for another edition of The Conversation.
Bye-bye. And I'm Gbenga Aborowa.